Hello everybody. The entire fundamentals of free market economy is that a company makes money if it adds value to a customer. The more value that is a customer is getting, the more money a company is making, whether it's a big company, a small company, or a startup. If a startup has established itself and is already adding value to the customer, then why is the narrative around startups moving from good to bad to worse? Why are so many startups basically on the end of receiving that heat from both the customers, from the investors, from the regulators, and everybody in the ecosystem? Well, in this video, we are going to look at this particular perspective from three different angles. The first one is the employees within the startup ecosystem. Number two is the customers who are basically getting services from these startups. And number three is the investors who are putting money in these startups. So let's go back to the first party, that is the employees. Rather than jumping into software developers, then business development folks, then finance folks and all these guys, let's look at the largest skilled or unskilled workforce within the startup ecosystem. That is the delivery executives. There are roughly 77 lakh delivery executives right now in the Indian market. And this number is projected to grow to 2.35 crores by 2030. They do not have any skill except moving the courier from one location to the other location. Well, you might say that, hey, they are also interacting with the customer. Fair, but is that a skill enough for them to get another job? Their skill development is just getting stuck at that point. They have no path in their career development. Also, what is the financial benefit these guys get? There is no insurance. There are no other kind of benefits apart from the commissions that they receive on every single delivery that they make. And recently, when Blinkit said that the commissions itself will go down from 25 rupees to 15 rupees, there was a huge backlash from these delivery executives. Even the Rajasthan government has come into the picture and they announced that every single transaction, 1 to 2% of every single transaction's revenues should be kept aside for the welfare of these delivery executives. This is the state where we are living, where the delivery executives' benefits should be now safeguarded by the government. The companies absolutely don't care about these things. Why? Simple, because they are not their employees. If they do not have any profits, then they'll cut down on these employees. A company in France was trying to change this entire model. They wanted to hire employees on a full-time basis and keep them on their payrolls, give them insurance, support them, rather than just employing them as their gig workers. But ultimately, it did not prove out profitable for their business. So they had to fire 1,700 employees and then rehire for a lot of these roles through gig platforms. Now, you can see that if a startup specifically cannot fulfill its own profitability requirements, then the employees are not something what it will look out for. An unfortunate case is that there will be 2.33 crores of people who would not have any other skill that they are actively working on. If Ola and Uber come up with driverless cabs, or let's say if Zomato and Swiggy come up with bot deliveries, what will happen to these 2.33 crore employees? That's a big question mark that nobody has an answer to. And unfortunately, I believe in the short term they are making money, but in the long term they are actually losing out on a lot of potential opportunities. Now moving on to the second topic, which is the customers. Now what is the promise by, let's say, Byjus to the customer? Initially it started out as, hey, you don't even need to walk out of your home. We will give you the best in class tutor at your home itself. Now what happened to this particular promise? They went ahead and acquired Akash. Physics Wala, the same exact promise, and they acquired Xylem. Pharmeasy, their promise was something else, but just in the quest of profits, they are started acquiring a lot of other companies. Now you can see the startups, while they started off with a noble objective that we need to add value to the customer, which the customer is not able to derive under the present situation, they moved away from that value adding objective to making profits as their primary objective. So this is a huge loss for the customer, because from an innovation standpoint, the customer is not benefiting. Whether it is Pharmeasy, whether it is Byjus, or whether it is Physics Wala, doesn't really matter. This is the same exact story across different industries. And if this customer innovation itself is not happening, why do we even call it a startup? Why should the Indian government support these startups? That's a big question that you need to ask if you want to support a startup versus going back and working or going back and taking the service of a local individual business owner. Now, the third person in this entire ecosystem is the investor. What's happening with the investor? The objective of any investor is to make more money, whether it's in 4 years or 7 years or 10 years, doesn't really matter. But unfortunately, the investors are losing on a lot of money here. For example, Pharmeasy, their valuations have dropped by 90%. They have taken a loan of $285 million recently from Goldman Sachs to basically pay back a prior loan that they have taken from Kotak. Now you can see taking a loan to pay back another loan is not a good business model at all. Well, I understand that there is a lot of leverage that these guys are getting by taking the loans, but ultimately the customer innovation itself is not moving forward because they are taking these loans just to go ahead and acquire another company. You please tell me, if you are a startup employee or if you are working for any of these startups, I would love to hear from you. If any of these guys, Byjus, which has went ahead and spent so much money on getting Messi as their brand ambassador, or Pharmeasy, which is taking loans to pay back its previous loans, what is the innovation these guys are doing? Now, if the innovation itself is stopping, then what is the point of all these startups? What is the point of an investor pouring a lot of money? And what is the point of customer giving these startups a chance? This is a honest question from myself. I myself am an entrepreneur. I started multiple companies, but my value has always been if I can add small value to a customer, even through specific use cases. But if that is not happening, then that's a big question mark on the survival of the entire startup ecosystem itself. And I hope it doesn't come to that situation and all the startup founders would prioritize customer innovation more than just looking at the numbers and going on that acquisition spree. Thank you so much, guys. Do let me know if you have any questions or comments in the comment section below, and I would love to engage with you on that. Take care. See you again. Bye-bye.